The misery for those with no homes in Gaza just got worse. Heavy rainfall has left shelters soaked, belongings wet through, and little protection from the cold and damp.
What can I say? The water is under us and above us. We can't sit down. The children can't sit down. My leg has needed platinum for 4 months, and they keep telling me to wait. I can't do anything. My son's been using sand to block the tent from water, but who's helping us?
The flooding's been catastrophic for the hundreds of thousands living in makeshift, flimsy homes with little access to the very basic necessities. The few belongings they have all been left drenched. The Gaza Civil Defence said it had had hundreds of appeals for help and urged people to take precautions against the weather. But in reality, with 90% of the Gaza infrastructure destroyed in the Israeli bombardment, there are few options for most. Many are utterly distraught. Where are the Muslims to help us, she's shouting. She's joined by others equally furious and despairing. The water's flooded everyone, they say. Come see the drowned children. Across in Jordan, there are dozens of warehouses like this one, packed full of emergency aid waiting to be delivered to those in Gaza.
Clothes for children, for women, for anything. This is shoes.
And what's your feeling about it all still being here and not in Gaza?
We are so sad.
There are blankets from Britain, now covered in a layer of dust. They've been here so long. Aid is poured in from all around the world, including even hospital stretchers waiting to be used. But also, just in this small corner, you've got a whole pile of crutches, which they're desperately in need of in Gaza, as well as a whole load of wheelchairs left unused. And this is just the aid gathered by the Jordanian authorities and stored in Jordan. The UN has its own huge haul, also stored in Jordan, but also aid like this piled up in Egypt and Turkey, waiting to get clearance from the Israelis so it can be distributed to people in need in Gaza. Most of the aid in Jordan has been sitting here since March, with barely any allowed across the border into Israel. In amongst all these warehouses and aid not being allowed in is baby formula. And crucially, there are thousands and thousands of tents and tarpaulins now in urgent need in Gaza because of the rains. The Israeli military unit responsible for coordinating aid in Gaza said it had been preparing for months for the winter and rain. In a tweet, Kogat said it had facilitated close to 140,000 tarpaulins directly to Gaza residents. And it went on, "We call on international organisations to coordinate more tents and tarpaulins." But that's a tiny number against the estimated 1.5 million people needing help and considered vulnerable by aid agencies in Gaza. The United Nations says Israel is breaching international law by continuing to impose restrictions on aid into Gaza, and despite a ceasefire agreement brokered in October.
All member states, including the British government, they have policies and they have humanitarian principles that they have to adhere to. And if they're not adhering to them, then questions will be asked in the future when the reckoning is done on this.
And all this with winter fast coming and little sign of any change in aid deliveries and the huge amounts needed in Gaza right now. Alex Crawford, Sky News in Amman, Jordan.